that's still an interesting issue. That
Hogan, so Hogan won his
$11 billion lawsuit,
and they owe him punitive damages.
I'm going to sue Gawker for $100 billion, brother.
Yeah, he won $115 million from Gawker, which good.
He was on.
Gawker's
did you watch?
Terrible.
Yeah. Did you watch him on The View?
No.
He went on The View with his lawyer. If you do yourself a favor, go look up that interview and go see what Hulk Hogan's lawyer looks like.
Well, what I did do.
I think he's a living puppet. I think he's a robot. I'm not joking.
Well, what I did do was look at all of the as they were happening. I kind of kept up to date on. There was somebody who made it his job to tweet out updates from actual quotes of things that were being said in that courtroom.
Jeez.
And so they were asking the jury legitimately questions like, how did you feel when Hulk betrayed Macho Man at WrestleMania?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And there was one asshole that said something like, it was like, do you watch wrestling? And the guy in the jury said, I used to when it was real in the 80s.
Wait, was that a
These are direct quotes from jury members, yeah.
Or was that during the interview process?
Oh, it might have been during the interview
Why
process.
would they? Yeah, because there's no way they're going to put somebody who...
No, I know.
They're not going to put it's still real to me, damn it, guy on the stand when we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
The thing that was crazy to me was that...
Not on the stand, but,
The thing that was crazy to me was that... So legally... I feel like Gawker should have won from just and my knowledge of the law is sort of bullshit, so whatever. But from a legal standpoint, the argument of freedom of the press, First Amendment and all that stuff, Gawker probably should have won. But in college, I studied communication law for a semester, and there's stuff about whether the story you're sharing with people applies to, I'm going to botch the word, but I believe it's pronounced like prurient interest or something like that. I'll look it up. What that means is basically that it's got to be relevant and newsworthy. It can't just be like, here's a video of Hogan banging some chick,
And that's
not news.
Right, and their argument is that he's a public figure, and this is information people need to know.
Prurient. There we go.
My whole take on it,
there we go,
and what I took away from it is, one, Hulk Hogan himself said, once this thing goes to arbitration, I'm not going to get this money.
Yeah.
He knows it. He said, I just wanted my name cleared, and I want to protect other people who this could happen to. He didn't do all that nonsense with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife as Hulk Hogan.
Right.
He didn't.
Oh, that was the distinction they tried to draw.
Exactly.
That was the actual argument, from what I understand in court.
The point
was that Terry Bollea is different from Hulk
this
Hogan
as a person, just a regular man.
So the person who's on trial, Hulk Hogan, is distinct from
Terry Bollea.
Yeah.
And
vice versa.
For me, okay, Gawker, he was recorded against his knowledge, banging some other dude's wife.
Yep.
And he got put on the internet.
In a context.
content, and he said it. If you watch his interview on The View, he said, and I don't watch The View. Let me just get this totally clear.
If you watch The View,
he said, I was at a low point. My marriage was failing. My career was suffering. And I was just really lonely and messed up. And he chalked that up to the things he said about Brooke's boyfriend. And he said all the racist stuff. He said, I'm not a racist. I was angry and it's still wrong, and I'm gonna live with that for the rest of my life, and I'm sorry. I believed Hogan in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that he's got to say that either way, but that's probably how he feels.
It looked heartfelt, and I genuinely feel like the person that the Terry Bollea got his privacy invaded in this situation. And okay, fine, Gawker can. I don't think it should be,
I don't get the impression that Hulk Hogan's an actual racist.
I don't think tapes of two consensual. I don't think tapes of somebody banging somebody and put on the internet against their knowledge, that doesn't violate the First Amendment. That You see, that's not the First Amendment.
No, the
freedom
request
of speech
the
in the
request
press
to,
is not doesn't protect
the
that
request
thing.
to take it down. You mean does not violate the First Amendment?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a violation of privacy.
Well,
That's where I am.
And
now, if Gawker said, "Hey, guess what? We know that Hulk Hogan stuck Bubba the Love Sponge's wife and just left it at that." And left it as rumor. Fine, that's freedom of press. That's freedom of speech.
But to post the video,
but the video is where I thought the line was crossed for Hogan.
The video is
or should I say Terry?
Yeah, the video is not what applies to that word again, prurient interest.
Yeah,
because it's not newsworthy. You could break the story.
Yeah,
then it's maybe newsworthy, but to show the video and all that, and that's what and so it didn't help matters that the guy from Gawker is kind of a total douche anyway.
Well, no
and
kidding.
He played the heel character real well on the stand, basically to try and I'm going to be as sarcastic and snarky about this as possible, and
they had to have known that.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if he's like that for real, but he was asked questions on the stand about, well, when do you in your judgment believe, as the editor-in-chief of this thing or whatever, when do you believe what's the line where a sex tape like this would not be for
the public
interest?
When is really need to know?
When is it not newsworthy? And he said, well, if it was a child's or something like that, that's not newsworthy. And then they said, no, but it gets worse. Then they asked him, so if it's a child's, and they asked him, well, how old does the child have to be for it to be not?
Oh, I heard about.
And he said 4 years old.
Ew.
Because he's he didn't gain any favor with the jury. He must have known he was going to lose.
Yeah.
So he just decided to quip his way through the rest of it.
And if you think about it,
and then when they read it all back to him, they basically were like, "Were you joking?" or something like, "You said that was a joke."
Yeah, read that back. Did you really mean that?
And he's like, "No, it was a joke." And they're like, "Okay, so why do you think child rape is funny?"
And why do you think that joking in the court of law during this trial is funny?
So it's one of those things where I have personal feelings about Gawker. So I was never on Gawker's side, but from the law standpoint, the First Amendment thing is a touchy thing because you don't want to now establish a precedent that
people
because someone's unhappy with something you posted, and so I want you to take it down, whatever.
I understand. I get that. Okay, because we don't want to. Then we're getting into the whole. People are overly sensitive and care about everything. So if something offends me, take it down.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about
privacy and
privacy.
And even if he is a celebrity, we don't need to know who he's putting his dick in. So I don't care.
Yeah, it's a private thing.
Maybe I'm an outlier, but I don't care about what Hulk Hogan gets up to when he's naked. So.
Or do you mean Terry Bollea?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. See, that was the dumb thing, was that they were trying to say no. Hulk Hogan has 32-inch pythons. Terry Bollea does not.
Preface that with pythons, but for those who aren't privy
for the unenlightened,
for the unenlightened and those who haven't followed the career of one Mr. Terry Bollea. When we say the 32-inch python, we mean his biceps.
Yeah, which doesn't. I don't understand. Maybe I wasn't a kid.
It was 24-inch pythons.
Oh well, yeah, I thought it was whatever. It's all numbers. But the point is.
All I'm saying is
that was a funny
private affairs. It does not violate the First Amendment. If someone it's extort it it's I don't know. I'm amazed that people are out there saying that Gawker had the right to put it up there because they're protected by the First. Don't have to take it down because it's the First Amendment. I'm like, it's the First Amendment to get a tape someone against their knowledge having sex with somebody and against their knowledge put it on the internet and therefore call that news and they don't have to take it down. I'm like. It's a violation of privacy, plain and simple. Albeit it happened in Bubba the Love Sponge's house.
Yep.
But he had no idea that was being filmed, and I absolutely believe him. Unless him and Bubba are laughing on some island right now.
I think I did a disservice to that word. I think what it means is still related to what I was talking about, but prurient means marked by or arousing an immoderate or unwholesome interest or desire, especially marked by anyway, basically it refers to obscenity and all this stuff, and what it means is does this thing have value to it aside from just making people kind of horny, Or like does this thing have value to it other than just showing sex for sex sake?
Because sex sells.
Is it meant to arouse? Is it meant to make a point?
Well, at the end,
this video is meant to just be like, yeah, Hulk Hogan. And
hey, this guy. You know this guy that Hulk had a really good point. Because not only does this ruins his image, absolutely, this whole thing has just killed his career, essentially, what was left of it. He had a good point, because he said, like, if you have a child goes on the internet and types Hulk Hogan looking to find old school Hulk Hogan matches and stuff, what's going to pop up? Right. And that's where I'm like, you have an absolute, that's the huge point. To like go off what Triple H said, why haven't we brought back China? Well, kid goes on the internet, types in China or wants to see old women's wrestling or something, what's going to pop up? It sucks, but that's the way it is. And I'm glad that Hulk Hogan established that line and said, hey, this is where people's privacy is protected. That's kind of where I'm okay. I'm glad with it. And just to put a bow around it, he knows that once that goes to arbitration or whatever the next step is, he's not going to get any of that money. But if you're Gawker, and I wanted to say your point of that the dude being the heel, there's no such thing as bad publicity if you're a website like that.
Yeah, but they owe him a lot
of web hits and stuff they're going to be getting.
They
lost
more. It doesn't matter because they lost enough money from this thing, and they owe him $25 million after the $115 in punitive damages.
Yeah,
that it's enough to actually cripple the website in a way where they may go under for
it. That's why they're not going to. Like I said, Hogan himself said this. I'm not going to get that much money. It's not going to be 100. There's no way.
I don't know.
He just wanted his name cleared.
Well, I like. So the problem is Gawker owns a bunch of different things, and Gawker owns Kotaku, and I like Kotaku.
What the hell is that?
Kotaku is like a premier sort of gaming news source. So I don't know. There'd be a bunch of people over there that I'd be real upset if they lost their jobs. Plus the fact that Kotaku's just been around for so long, that'd be a huge blow.
It's like people who had nothing to do with this, like they didn't hurt anybody, and now they're gonna see that sucks.
And as much as gaming journalism matters, not to get into that whole thing, but it would be a real shame because they're a big deal in that space. So if they were made to go away, that would be a huge blow to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.